Researched Macmillan to find out what our small community could do and what difference we could make. And I found Kimberley, who was supported by Macmillan during her cancer journey. She's 28 years old and had 5 cancer diagnoses, the first when she was still a child. But that's not how she wants to be known.
But I've always wanted to be known for more than that. I want to be known of how you can deal and thrive with all of that and just make the most and thrive alongside the challenges.
And thrive she did, even through some of the hardest moments of her life. For some of them, she had the help of Macmillan. That meant that she had her clinical nurse specialist Lisa, who was always there when she needed support.
And it's made a real difference because having that key contact helped me navigate how I felt and how she was able to support me through those really difficult times. And even when I was just upset and crying on the phone.
That's what donations make possible. Not just treatment, but human support. The kind you need when your mind is racing, when you're scared, when you don't know what comes next. Macmillan helped her feel less alone, less lost, and the support was practical too. For example, after treatment, when Kimberley had lost a lot of weight, Macmillan gave her a grant voucher to buy some new clothes.
Yes, that helps with a lot of things as well because you're always trying to reform on your identity around cancer and stuff.
And it didn't just help her through the pain, it inspired her to give something back. Kimberley went on to organize 2 fundraising galas, one of them for Macmillan, raising money for the same kind of support she once received.
When I fundraised, I got multiple examples sent by the charity of how the amount I raised helped with what they do.
She even won the Regional Pride of Britain Award for her outstanding fundraising. And when I asked her what she'd say to people who wonder whether their donation could really make a difference, she said this.
What people need to remember is that even the teeny tiniest of donations is going to add up with how that charity disperses the money, and that's just directly going to help change and support someone's life.
Even $1 or €1 might be someone's calm voice on the other end of the phone, and maybe the start of their revival. Because even though illness is still a part of Kimberley's journey, everything she's fought through helped shape who she is today. A passionate dancer, a patient advocate, a young woman with big dreams. And I think her story shows that even small good deeds can change someone's world.
Thanking you again, and starting with the first question. So as we talked about, if someone had never met you and had never heard about you and your story, what would you want them to know and understand about you, yourself, and your story and background?
At first, I think once you get to know about me, my story is I've had 5 cancer diagnoses, so initially I feel like I'm always known kind of for that and what's happened, but I've always wanted to be known for more than that, and my lifestyle that I like to strive for is to thrive, and that's in the big and little ways and just making the most out of life and just trying to live the fullest life I can despite the difficulties and the challenges that occur and that I still live with even after the cancer. Because I live with long term treatment effects, multiple chronic organ problems, and I want to be known of how you can deal and thrive with all of that and just make the most and thrive alongside the challenges that you can live with.
As I've said before, I love that message, and I really think it's really inspiring, and that's why I love to have you on the series, because I think it's all about those people that rise from challenges and that deal with adversity. So is there a moment or phase that especially shaped the way you see your journey today?
I'd say there was multiple moments along the way. It usually was when I've realised when I've achieved something or a goal. So I'm very goal orientated and driven. And especially with my fundraising gala and then dance teaching, there's certain goals that I've set with these kind of things where I was unsure how big of a challenge it would be to achieve it, but with the right support along the way and then my mindset to be so driven like it is, I've been able to achieve those things, and then that encourages me to realize what I am capable of, and then that leads one thing to another, and I've just kind of grown as a person within myself from learning about all that and what I am still capable of. So I'd say there's many little milestones along the way that's made big achievements that's encouraged me to keep going and set more goals and ambitions.
I love that so much, and I think that what really makes you as a person. From what I've seen from your profile, I didn't just see a girl who has survived 5 cancer diagnoses. I've seen a girl who's really passionate and positive, and yeah, just has an incredible mindset, I have to say, from what I've seen. So I really, really think that's really admirable. Um, so coming back to like Macmillan being one of the charities that has supported you. So can you share with me again what this support meant to you and what like real difference it made in your everyday life and your journey?
So the support I've had from Macmillan is I met my clinical nurse specialist who is part of my healthcare team. That was 10 years ago when I turned 18, when I had received my second cancer diagnosis, but it was the first one as an adult. And within the last 10 years, I've had the support from my clinical nurse specialist throughout the 3 tongue cancers that I've had. And it's made a real difference because having that key contact just kind of helped me navigate how I thought about certain things, how I felt, and how she was able to support me through those really difficult times.
Mm, as I've said before, like how would that experience have been different for you if you would have been missing that support emotionally?
I think it would have changed my whole experience in some ways in terms of the communication and support you get from your healthcare team. That element of it would have been very different, as I've had many experiences. I've dealt with many different teams and I have experienced many examples where communication support's not there. So in comparison, I know what a difference it makes. And being able to ask questions, like contact her whenever we were able to pick the phone up, um, it just really helped put my mind at ease, because if you don't have that, you'll be thinking and wondering things, and then if that access isn't there, you naturally go to the internet, and if you are looking and googling symptoms or anything, we all know that goes down a bad rabbit hole. And yeah, it just, like I say, even when there wasn't a specific answer, it was just nice to know we just need to see what happens and just take it a day at a time. And just, that was the thing, it was someone at the other end telling me we just have to take things a day at a time. You have that other person there to let you know that that's okay, and yeah, you're not kind of left wondering or on your own and with no support at all. And it's the access to that key support worker that I think really does make a difference through your health experience with a diagnosis.
I love what you said about just taking it day by day, because I read on the Macmillan website like there's your story where I found you, and there's like a quote that you said about you're allowed to have bad days and it's okay to have bad days. And I really like that because I think many people have like this toxic positivity mindset, and they, of course it's important, as you said, you're resilient, you just said that it's important to rise above the challenges and grow and make the best of it, but still that you're allowed to have bad days. Like, what would you add or say to that?
I just reiterate that and just say it's a fine balance, because that's the thing. I'm naturally a person that's got a strong mindset and I do have coping mechanisms, but I've also been very burnt out. I've been in places where you feel really low and you're just emotional every day. And I think it's important to validate that, because if you don't acknowledge it or you suppress it, that's going to make it worse for longer. And even if it's just an odd day or just one thing out in the middle of nowhere that upsets you, it's important to know it's okay, and that that's a very human reaction to that situation or thought or feeling. And it's something I do also still struggle with. I know I'm saying this as a reply, but it is hard to do. And it's just important to remember that it is okay to sit with it or let yourself dwell a little bit, just to process the feelings and emotions, because if you try and not, that's just going to make things harder, and it might just pop up and burst further down the line, and that's obviously not. You're just dealing with things like I say, it's a day at a time. You've just got to deal with it, and it's okay to completely feel that way about anything, no matter if you think it's a big thing or a small thing and that it shouldn't matter.
I think that's so wise. I think that's exactly the key. Like, I've never been in a situation like you have been, so I can only imagine in that case. But I think I've noticed the same thing. Like, if you try to just be positive and don't let the bad emotions have their space, then they're just gonna come back at you at some point and just like a tsunami, kind of like override you. So I think
Exactly.
mm-hmm. So I think it's really about finding like that balance. Um, so again, I've told you about Gary now, and because you like Gary and you are both a part of the next episode, I just wanted to have like that bridge, and the perspective of someone who, because he has just been supporting. He has had the cancer side from his father because his father was diagnosed with cancer, and that's where he kind of like got the motivation to help. But just as someone who has been supported by a charity like Macmillan Cancer, what does it mean to you, um, that people do such amazing things and challenges to support people like you or others with a diagnosis?
I think it's really important because, like you say, with any kind of fundraising, it's either there's got to be a motive behind it, and it is either they've had personal experience or they're driven by something particular to do that. And I think it's amazing that people want to fundraise, because the fundraising going to the charities, but ultimately that's why you're fundraising for them, because you know the charity is supporting people for that specific cause of charity, and the families, it normally would spread to that as well, and the impact that it makes to a lot of people's lives is important. And yeah, it's no matter what kind of fundraising you do, whether it's a small amount or a big amount, every donation that goes to support the charities is so impactful. And the fact it all goes back to someone wanting to make a difference in the smallest of ways or the biggest of ways is quite inspiring, I think.
It definitely is, and so is your fundraising, what I will come back to in a moment. But just about the impact of fundraising in general, As I've mentioned before, some people they're like critical or they're not sure if they're donating can make a real difference. So what would you say to someone who's not sure if their donating could really make a difference and help the people who they really want to help?
I think the thing with fundraising and donations is it's a very common thing and we see a lot of. So it's always, can you donate to this charity? And it gets a bit repetitive. Whereas I think even the smallest donation roundup, all those pennies and pounds or euros, any of it, it's all going to add up and make a big difference. And like I've just said, it's whether it's the smallest amount or a huge amount of money, it's all going to make a difference in many different ways. And like there's just so many examples of that. I mean, from at Millen, I know when I fundraised, I got multiple examples sent by the charity of how the amount I raised helped with what they do. And then for me personally, what I've experienced was my clinical nurse specialist. And then also when I finished treatment 10 years ago when I was 18, I'd lost a lot of weight due to radiotherapy. And Matt Millen gave me a grant voucher so I could use that to help towards getting some new clothes. And I guess that helps with a lot of things as well because you're always trying to reform a new identity around cancer and stuff or anything particular. So I think what people need to remember is that even the teeny tiniest of donations is going to add up with how that charity disperses the money. And that's just directly going to help change and support someone's life.
I love that so much. And I think what it really shows is that small deeds can change big worlds, kind of like if you can say it like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I really want to emphasize, as I said, that like those small donations can make a real impact. Again, coming back to the charity about helping children, Wish Upon a Star, can you share again how that experience with them shaped you as a child and what it means to you today, and why this charity is so close to your heart?
So I fundraised for this charity because when I just turned 5 years old and I'd finished treatment, I was one of the children that got chosen to go to Lapland for the day to meet Santa and have a magical trip at the end of treatment of what was such a dark time. They then bring so much light back into your life. So that's why I chose to fundraise for them. And from that, this year, myself and my mum, who originally came with me on the trip, was invited back as guests as a way to say thank you. And it really is such a special charity, and the whole day and trip was amazing because I can only remember vivid moments from being so little. I can't remember loads from the first time, but being back there brought those vivid moments back to life, and I was able to recreate those memories and make more. And it just brings home how important it is to have that light at the end of the tunnel and the precious moments with like your family who are going through things with you as well. And like I say, the first time I was on there as a child who had finished treatment, and then this time I was witnessing that. So I was on the trip as a guest, but all the other families were wish children and their families. So it was really amazing to see how special it was for them and to see the difference and what the fundraising does enable because that trip is funded by fundraising from that like for the charity. So yeah, it just is amazing. And again, it just shows what a difference it can make to people's lives. They're gonna come away with memories that they'll hold on to forever.
I can totally believe just looking at the pictures, honestly, like your pictures and the pictures on their side, it was so heartwarming. I don't know. It's like it's really amazing. Do you have like you still have all the pictures from your trip back then, right? Because I think you posted them.
Yeah, so originally my mum just had one of those throwaway cameras, so you only had a handful of pictures to be developed and printed. So I do have a little selection from the first time, and I was able to recreate some of those pictures and put them side by side from this time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, that time back then, right? You just had like a few little shots. If you're lucky,
Yeah,
now sometimes you don't have any. It was such a different time back then, like with recording stuff. Like I have so many moments where I don't have any pictures and I wish I would have that memory.
yeah, literally, yeah.
So I want to come to your fundraising and the change that you make in other people's lives. So I think that's one of the last repetitive questions. After that, we come to the new ones. So, what is the moment, if there is a key moment, that made you decide, I want to give back and start fundraising myself? And why did you do it, or what did you motivate to do it?
So as I'd been through a few diagnoses and had support from charities, multiple ones, I had the idea of, oh, I'd like to fundraise, I'd like to give back and support for charities. But again, fundraising, big or small, takes a lot of effort. And I had an idea, but I didn't know if it would be possible and it'd be a lot of work. But then one of my best friends, she actually produced a charity concert. And my idea was inspired by what she did, and I understood the process and what needed to go into it to produce an event based off what she'd said. And like I said in that first question earlier, I'm very driven, and once I know I've got the support network and I know it's gonna be hard work but achievable, that was kind of the little step and the first step that I needed to go along and grow my little idea. So I then decided, okay, I'd like to put on a charity gala, which was a live performance featuring West End stars, a group of dancers from the dance school I helped teach at, and basically fundraise and split the money between the charities that have supported me. So last year I managed to raised £10,000 as the outcome of the first event, which was absolutely crazy because I've never had any training or knowledge of events or production or anything like that. So really, it was quite a crazy little idea. And then with the massive success of it, which like blew everyone away, even myself, we decided to do the second one this year. And again, it was another incredible event. We raised another £10,000. So in just over 1 year, from last April to this May, we've raised £20,000, which has been split between 5 different charities that I've chosen. And I've literally called it my baby because they take about 9 months to put together, and I do have a team of people that will help me coordinate and do certain aspects of it, but the majority and the bulk of the work is just myself producing these events. And the first one was naturally hard because you've no idea what's going to happen, what it's going to be involved in putting it on. But the second one would technically seem easier to do because you've done it before. I had the blueprint, but the difficult one with the second one was I actually got my most recent and fifth cancer diagnosis in the middle of the production process, and I'm also now on long-term dialysis treatment. So there was some massive challenges to overcome and prioritize alongside this event. And I did wonder at one point if it would have been better to pull it because obviously you have to prioritize yourself and your health. But through everything, the support I got, and we managed to pull it off again. And that's what made it even more incredible and special. And like such a proud achievement to have made another successful event and raised that amount of money despite what I went through alongside the preparation for it all.
Wow, wow, I respect that so much. Like pulling this off, never having done this before, doing it while being like in treatment and being sick and everything. I honestly, it's wow. Congrats. I can't believe that. Um, just because I'm curious, I've told you about those monthly messes and about things going wrong. So, especially when you do something like this for the first time, and in the end, it was a massive success. But did you have like those monthly messes too? Like, of course, not the big things that you just talked about, but just like little things that went wrong, and then you had to figure out how to deal with it.
Way. There was definitely like certain things I know when the very first moment when the gala, the first one, started. So the lights go down and the host starts talking on the microphone. I was stood at the side of the stage with my microphone ready to then do an introduction after him. And his microphone wasn't working. So he quickly came to the side of stage. I passed him mine. Mine then didn't work either. So then I was like, oh my goodness, no, this is the start of the event. This cannot set the standard of how it's going to go on. But luckily, it was all a big technical issue and it was fine. But yeah, there's little stuff like that that you're like, oh no, this can't be happening.
Just because you talk so much about the effort that you put into this event and all the struggles with it, and that you even had a moment when you almost gave up and thought about like pulling it. What you talked about, like having the support, but what really helped you stick with the pact you made with yourself? Like what helped you get through all those challenges?
Probably having the support and just knowing that no matter what, the event was going to happen and there would be an outcome. So it was just a matter of letting go slightly as well, especially with the second one. There was a slight expectation of what level people were going to expect. But with such an event as well, that's not going to come out of my own pocket. So with things that are like sponsorship issues or like ticket sales, like it just came down to no matter the financial ins and outs goings of how this event's going to be funded and how much is raised, you know at the end of the day something is going to be raised, something's going to go to the charities, and that's all that matters. So it was other people and the support from them that reminded me of that and also helped me to like resolve some issues and obviously make it a success still. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you definitely can't pull it off on your own, and for your own well-being as well, you need that support and other people to think outside of your head to help you work out what's for the best or remind you that, yeah, literally, like I say, no matter what happens, there's going to be a positive out of it and everyone's going to have a good night.
I love what you say, and I think what's so cool is when I interviewed Gary, my premise was also how can someone pull something like this off? Like, how can you be able to run 365
Yeah.
marathons in 365 days with injuries, with all that stuff? And I also interviewed some other people, and what you share with all of them, and what all of them share that did amazing things, are kind of like the same things. Like they have the support, they have like the same mindset, and I think it's so inspiring that like you can see like the same things or patterns in people that achieve amazing things. And uh, speaking of amazing things, I want to ask you about the prize or the nomination that you had. I've seen like the videos of how you went to like the premiere and how you were surprised, I think, even by one of the presenters or someone who told you that you were won the regional Pride of Britain.
Yeah, yeah. So Pride of Britain Awards is a big ceremony that's aired on TV, a national award, yeah, national awards every year. And I've always said the last few years, with everything that I'd been through, I was like, oh, you know what, I'd really love to win a Pride Britain award. And I think my passing comments must have been picked up on by friends and family, because apparently a few of them nominated me. And I got a call one day saying I'd been selected as one of the final 4 regional fundraisers for the category of ITV Fundraiser of the Year for the Pride of Britain Awards. And basically, there's 17 regions for the ITV fundraiser of the year, and I was shortlisted as the top 4 for my region. And every night for 1 week, each of the regional semi-finalists, their videos were played, because we came and had, I was actually, part of my video actually featured my Macmillan nurse. So that was really, really special. And the regional judges chose me as their winner, which was the surprise reaction you would have seen, because I got asked to come to the hospital to do some social media promo. Like, they were interviewing the semi-finalists, but obviously it was a setup to give me the award and tell me I'd won the region. I was obviously, like you've seen, so surprised. I didn't even quite realise at the time that I had won. And then that was my invitation to go down to London to the national ceremony alongside the 16 other regional winners. And then out of the 17 of us, there would be one person that won the national Pride of Britain fundraiser of the year. So even though I didn't win the national, I was just so honoured and proud to have had even the acknowledgement of being nominated and then chosen as the regional winner, because my little idea grew into an event that far passed all my expectations. And then to be acknowledged for the success and the outcome of that and the efforts, it was something, again, one of my proudest moments, that's then made me realise what I have achieved. And the whole experience in itself, obviously going to the event and getting to dress up and go on the red carpet, it was amazing. And I'll definitely say that is an achievement, probably one of my biggest achievements alongside my events, that I'm really proud of to have achieved. And yeah, just an unforgettable night.
I can only imagine, just like looking at the pictures and seeing you smile on them, I could already feel like the excitement and how much it must have meant to you to be acknowledged for what you've achieved and to have this experience. Why do you think it's so important to have events like that where you can also acknowledge and honor people that do like the fundraising and that do good for other people? Because I think like we have a lot of award shows for, I don't know, musicians, and they do like their like they do valuable things too, of course, but why do you think it's important to have like those acknowledgements for fundraisers and stuff?
I think the importance really is they are the everyday people, and like the Pride of Britain Awards does say, they are the unsung heroes. So as you've said, like people that are doing music and everything, they do things in their own way and their own passions, but I guess they already have a platform. Whereas for us everyday people who are getting the recognition, it's giving them the recognition they deserve that would otherwise be unknown about. It's never gone unnoticed, because obviously what they're doing makes a difference in their local community and their support network, but it's given the bigger, like, acknowledgement and that sense of, for that person as well, to be like, oh wow, because I know for myself and alongside many of the winners that night that spoke about it, they don't think anything of what they do. They're doing it because they want to. So it's really giving them the special recognition that they deserve. And yeah, I think it's an empowering thing, and also a message to inspire other people out there to let others know, like, no matter how you can help people, like, whatever your story is, whatever your motive is, there's a lot of things you can do in your life that can help impact others.
I love that what you said. There's so many of those fundraising people, they don't even care so much or for what they do or like the recognition. They just do it because they believe in it. I we talked about your dance and that I really really liked your dance and I loved the message behind it. And by the way, I'm also a Selena Gomez fan, so I really like
Ah,
that
I
too.
love that.
I really like that. And the message, like the theme revival, I think that message and what you wrote about it was so powerful. So I wanted to ask you about that and what does revival mean to you today?
I love that question because it means so much. And a lot of my close friends and family will know that that word is a very significant word to me and my journey. And I always loved the word and the meaning behind it because the meaning is an improvement in the condition, strength, or fortunes in someone or something. And for me, that is a whole message in itself. And then when Selena released her revival album, I was like, wow, this is like my music. I can relate to this so much. The lyrics, it resonated so hard. And ironically, it came out just before I was diagnosed. So I listened to it throughout my treatment and it was a massive help. It really helped me get through it. And I met Selena from one of the charities that I fundraised for. I was granted a wish and I got to tell her all this, and she was just the sweetest and loveliest person. And yeah, it was so important. And that again was a pivotal moment for me that made me realize I'd come out the other side of it. But then going forward, the music obviously brings all those memories and association with all of that and the strength that I've carried from that since. But again, with the dancing, I've always loved the song. I like to be creative, and in my mind, I'd kind of created this concept of a routine that I wanted to do for my event. So 5 years ago, I actually choreographed a piece to another one of her songs called Look at Her Now, and that was actually ironically also released around the time of my third diagnosis, and again it helped me through that. So the routine that I came up with was a storyline from start to finish of a revival, like a complete transformation of who you can be and what you go on through experiences and as a journey. And I picked revival, dance again, and look at her now as the three songs to tell that story. And my choreography and everything that came into that routine was what I wanted to bring to life, and just significant things to me that help tell my story. And it was a creative way to kind of show all that. And also, again, it was another outcome and a creation that I was so proud of and something I'd not done before.
Just out of curiosity to dig deeper because you told me how important like revival is, like Selena Gomez wise, and also just the word and the meaning behind it. But I just want to understand like what is the revival in your life? Like how do you practice that revival or how do you notice revival in your own life?
I think there's certain lyrics that describe it perfect, and it's the intro to the song, which is like, I'm reborn in every moment, so who knows what I become. So no matter each chapter of your life, each thing you experience or face or challenge, it's that there's going to be an end of it and you're going to be reborn. You're not going to be the same person out of it. Things might have changed for the worse. Some things might be for the better, but you're always learning about yourself, no matter what version of yourself there is. And I think that's what revival is that you're always reborn. There's always a new beginning, and for me that's what's important, and that's the reminder you need also sometimes to keep going. Is you don't know when you're starting fresh, you don't know what chapter of your life you're in, or you don't yeah, it can all blur into one, but revival is just that constant renewal and journey of life.
I love that because I think it's so much about the journey. And even though the journey might be hard and might have challenges, that's what life is really about.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and just growing and becoming someone else through growth. Um, because you just talked about like revival, and sometimes you have those hard times and you know there's going to be a fresh start somewhere along the way, you just don't know when. What helped you through the darkest times of yours, and what would you say to someone who may be in a really dark time now?
It's hard to almost give advice and say something that could help someone else because everyone's so individual. Like something that helped me might not help them. But I think in general, perspective and mindset and knowing whatever you're facing, no matter how long the journey is, no matter how dark it gets, in your own journey, there will come an end to that. And even if it takes a long time to get to, or even if it's a short one, there will be that moment where things start to go up again. And there can be constant challenges. Like I've been through 5 different diagnoses, and there's a lot of up and downs, and I've had burnout, and you have to be surrounded by the right support, whether that's professional or personal. It's finding those ways to ride the waves, and no matter how rough it can get, I think it's just knowing, okay, one step at a time, 1 week at a time. In hindsight, this isn't going to feel as long as it feels now. By the time you get to the end of it, you'll look back and realize the progress you've made and be so proud of yourself. And even like the stuff like the cancer diagnoses or people that are experiencing an in a dark place, no matter what is the cause of that, there will be a moment, and just surround yourself with whatever you need support wise and hold on to that. And I do think you can get light in the big and little ways, and there will be an ending of that.
Yeah, I think the support is so important, isn't it? Like like you just said, like you had the support of the charities, and
Hmm.
probably, as you've said, like your family was probably there for you. And yeah, I think you sometimes you just don't you cannot do it alone. Like for me, I don't know if you've heard about that, but I'm really introverted, so I'm more like the person that needs a lot of alone time. But still, you need like the support and the people to be there for you. Probably it's like such an important thing. Like Gary said that too. For example, without the community he had, without the team, he couldn't have done it. Like it would have.
Absolutely. Like whether it's down to the fundraising, whether it's down to the personal challenges you're facing, you have to have that support. Otherwise, and that is the fundamentals of everything. If you don't have that fundamental and that stability base, then otherwise it's going to be a struggle. But it's just important to remember it is always there,
Mhm.
and it can be hard to access. Like if you, like you say, if you want to close off, that's okay sometimes, but it's just so important to remember there is always someone there, whether you know them personally or not, and it's through a charity. Like there will always be support, and that's just so like key in helping you through anything, I think.
I think that was just so important because I think there are a lot of people who might not have a family or a private support system
Hmm.
around them. And when they listen to stories like maybe yours or Gary's, they might think, okay, they have this massive support system, like family wise or friend wise, but I don't have that. But that's where maybe charities can come in and give you that support. So I think that's an important aspect for kind of like lonely people or people that don't have that in their real like everyday life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. Um, is there, because you said you're really like goal-oriented person and you love to set new goals and work towards something. So I'm curious, is there something you're dreaming of or working towards right now, and what is it?
So currently, I am working towards my next goal. It's been my goal for a few years. Um, and there's had to be certain steps and things I've done in order to be able to do this now. But I'm working on my level 4 dance teaching diploma. So I do have a level 3 teaching assistant diploma, but I want to be fully qualified as a dance teacher. So that's what I'm currently working on. And that again is something I always remember thinking when I was younger. I heard my dance teacher talking all the ballet terms and it's in French and you had to know the terminology, knowing what that would mean for what step. And I remember thinking, there's no way I know any of this. There's no way I ever will. It's too difficult. Like, wow, like how is she doing this? And then again, it's one of those moments now where I'm like, I've done that and little me would be so proud. So yeah, that's what I'm working on at the minute. I've done the fundraising events. I do think I will do some fundraising again in the future, but again, it's such a big thing to do and I need the support of certain people. So I do have ideas, but at the minute, just for myself, I'm working on that. And that's more of a focus because in my personal life, I'm on dialysis treatment. So 3 times a week, I'm going to the hospital. Basically my blood gets cleaned because I have kidney failure and my kidneys don't do that anymore. So I'm having to deal with all of that and the everyday challenges and management of that. So having the dance teaching and dancing in general, it's a good balance to be able to tune into that and have a distraction and be able to focus and work on that goal at the same time.
Because I love dance so much as well, and as I've told you, like this series is also about pursuing creative dreams and creative aspirations. And I think creative aspirations are so powerful. So I just wanted to dig in a little deeper and ask, what role did dance play in your journey, and what did it maybe help you? Like, how did it maybe help you?
Huge role. So it was probably the best decision I made of my life in a sense because it set me up in many ways for my life and things that are orientated around it. So I remember when I was about 6 or 7, my mum asked me, now that you're stable, your health's in a good remission place, do you want to do horse riding or dancing? And I used to watch all the dance programs and kids stuff, and I was like, actually, I want to do dancing because I like both. But if I did horse riding and I broke a bone because I'm prone to brittle bones, I was like, I actually think dancing would be better. And I think as a 6 or 7 year old, that's the best decision I ever made of my life because it's something I've been so passionate towards. I've met some amazing people. I've literally got best friends out of it. I've grown as a person. It's kept me physically well. Like I would say also in a lot of recovery stages that I've had to go through, it's helped me physically with my health as well. And again, like we were saying, I'm goal orientated. I've had multiple goals throughout the year that I've set and achieved, and that's the thing, step by step, it's brought me to where I am now and who I know. So I'd say a lot of my life has links to how dance has influenced it.
I can totally imagine, because I think like those kind of things, like dance for me, it's also writing and making videos. They're kind of like, how do you say, coping
Yes.
mechanisms for any emotion, basically. So any emotion you can just put into, like in your case, dance, or in my case, books and stories, and it helps you to make sense of it, to work through it, to feel the emotion. So I totally understand the big role it had for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, with the revival dance, that was the outcome of that. It was all the thoughts, all the emotions, a dance piece that captured all of that and the creativity that went into it as well from that.
I have to watch it again. I watched it, I think, 2 times now, but I have to watch it again now after I talk to you because
Oh,
I
I
think,
love that.
no, really, because I think I will have it, like, I will watch it differently now that I've heard you talk about it and heard your perspective on it. Um, I have just a few more questions. Um, this is kind of like a big, kind of like philosophical one, but I'm just gonna ask. Um, what kind of world would you love to help create through your story and your advocacy?
Oh, what kind of world? I'd say some kind of world where, if we're talking specifically about advocacy and awareness, is that you get more patient empowerment, and the patient's overall well-being is considered more, and the way that healthcare professionals communicate with you, think about your care, is more holistic. I think there needs to be more of a thing where you're treating more of the person and not just the disease, or just doing the procedure for a reason because that procedure isn't an actual person. So I think with what I do with my awareness page and my patient advocacy, I kind of talk about my experiences, and sometimes it's been at a conference, I do a Q&A discussion with a healthcare professional, or just from experiences that I type up and share as a post. It's always just that insight of how we experience things and what can the healthcare professionals learn from that? How can the care be made better? And just again, improving the experience for the patient, because there's just so much that goes into like a diagnosis or a procedure or anything. And if we're talking specifically about healthcare, I wish we could create a world where things are approached a little bit more holistically and patient centered.
That's Wow, okay, that's an aspect that I haven't thought about because I wasn't in that role. But now that you talk about it, it makes so much sense because I can imagine, as I've said in the beginning, that sometimes you and people with the same like diagnoses, they may be reduced to just this diagnosis. But you're people or we're people, and everyone is like, as you mentioned too, an individual and has to be treated as a person with all of their different aspects and what like makes them a person, and not just, oh, you have that diagnosis and now we treat that diagnosis. um so has like one of the charities helped you with that? Like, for example, when I think about Macmillan and they supported you, like Lisa, I think your nurse.
Yeah.
So was there an aspect of that that made you think, okay, that's more holistic because, for example, Lisa treats me as a person and not just like as a girl with cancer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would actually say my head and neck team are good examples of this, and kind of what made me realize the importance of that as well is they take into the account what's going to be best for me. So again, I've had 3 out of my 5 diagnoses with this specific team, and they tried to consider what's going to be best given my other health conditions. So there was a couple of surgery options for my last diagnosis, which the surgery happened this January. But in the end, they decided to go with the less invasive one in the hopes that it would be as good of an outcome, but less invasive on my body because of all of my organ complications, my heart condition, my kidney condition. And again, it's just that reassurance that you need from them, knowing that they're putting your overall health and well-being at the forefront of what they're going to be doing to your body. And that's where you build that trust in that relationship as well, which is the key thing. Because if you're put through an experience, or you're told you're going to have a procedure and they're just doing this certain thing to you, that's where you're like, well, that's it, I've signed a piece of paper, there's nothing I can do about it now. But yeah, that whole thing of going back to that, it's so key and so essential. And that's why I do have that good relationship with Lisa and the whole team, is because they discuss things so well, and they want to communicate two ways, and they want to know how I feel about it as well. Obviously, they need to do what they need to do, but they also take into consideration if I have any worries and how it all affects each other.
So I think I covered all the most important topics I wanted to ask you, but of course I want to give you the opportunity or the space to share something if there's anything else you want to share, like if there's a message or any part of your story or anything that you would like to share.
I think we've covered so much, and I'm one of those people that could talk forever. But one thing I do always say, and again, I like to advocate for and raise awareness of, is that you know your body best. So typically, also as a young person, you're probably told, oh, you're too young for this to happen, or oh, yeah, it could be this. And then that's completely missed, and it ends up being worse than something that the doctor may have tried to put down as something else. I've heard it from friends, I've seen it online, and I think it all comes down to, you know your body best. If you're not happy with what's said, or things aren't progressing as you'd like, you have to be persistent. You've got a voice and you have every right to use it. This is your body. People are going to be doing whatever they need to do to you, but also you have a right to say yes or no to things. And like, whether it's symptoms, whether you're going through treatment, like literally anything, it just comes down to the message of, you know your body best. And healthcare professionals need to understand that, because what they might have as a baseline and how they typically treat people might not be for everyone. And that again comes back into that patient-centered approach. And it shouldn't be that you're putting patients down saying, oh no, that's probably not it, it is usually this. It's just, that's not empowering to the patient. The patient needs to be listened to, and even if it needs to be something, if it leads to be something else, it's that the patient needs to be heard and let their voice be listened to, let their worries be listened to. And like what you're saying about vulnerability, I think three key things in both the patient area and the healthcare professional area is that vulnerability, honesty, and compassion is such a huge thing. And I think if both people are able to understand each other's perspective on that, you kind of meet in the middle, and again, you can meet that patient's needs and knowing their body best.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's one point I never would have like thought about or asked, but it's so important because I know people with illnesses that went to doctors, and for example, I don't know if you heard of the illness, what's this called? Um, I just know the German name. But it's like chronic fatigue syndrome, I
Yeah,
think. Have you heard of it?
yeah, I know people that have it.
Then you exactly, and I don't know if you've heard those stories from those people too, but I've heard many stories where they would go to doctors and doctors just would kind of like gaslight them and not like say it's
Yes.
just depression or I don't know, whatever. And they knew that it wasn't it, and they knew they needed a different treatment or a different perspective and approach, but the doctors just wouldn't listen and would not give them what they would really need. And so I think that's such an important message for anyone, especially for people with diseases or illnesses or anything, but for everyone, to just listen to your body and stand by what you know is right for you. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think that were the questions for me when it comes to the content part. I just have another one because you just mentioned that you met Selena Gomez.
I did.
So was it like, did you just mention that you had the wish to meet her and then they kind of contacted her, or how did that work?
So my second diagnosis, I was 18, and my parents were trying to find a charity that would do wish granting, and Make a Wish only went up to the age of 17, and obviously I just missed out on that. So they came across Starlight, realised I was within the age range just, and given my diagnosis and what I was going through, I was accepted for a wish. And you get to choose your top three wishes, but my top one was I wanted to meet Selena because of everything I've talked about, and I've always been a huge fan for numerous reasons. And this would have been the summer of 2016, and I was due to go watch her on tour. She was doing on her Revival World Tour that autumn, but then she fell ill with lupus, and then she went under the radar, had to cancel her tour, so I didn't get to go see her. She ended up actually having to have a kidney transplant. So when all this came out in the news, I was like, oh my gosh, and obviously my wish had kind of gone quiet because she's not been able to, like, no one was able to get in contact because of what she was going through. So again, probably a year later, they were like, "Do you want to keep your wish? Do you want to change it to one of your other ones?" I was like, "No, I really want to meet Selena. I'll hold on." And then obviously she got better, she recovered, and then she did a collaboration with the brand Coach. And I saw she was coming over to London to promote the bags she designed, and I actually bought one of the bags. And my dad got in touch with the charity and was like, "Oh, we've seen that she's coming to this event in London. Just giving you a heads up." So Starlight managed to get in touch with the management at that point, and they coordinated for me to meet her at the event meet and greet that they were organising, and I was the first person down to meet her. Everyone else was obviously having the very quick, hi, take a picture, next kind of meet and greet. But I got quite a decent amount of time with her, and I literally said I knew everything I wanted to tell her and talk to her about. And because I was so conscious of time, I said to her, "I'm so sorry, like, I've got this book, I want to show you my revival book and everything, and how long do we have?" And she turned around, and obviously all of the team are there as well. And she went, "Oh, honey, like, they're on my time. Like, you can have as long as you want. They're like whatever time I need right now." So yeah, she was amazing and completely fulfilled my wish and experience. So I'll never forget that day.
Oh wow, that's even better than I imagined it to be.
She was amazing. She's literally everything you'd imagine.
Is she as kind and as empathetic and everything as you see, like as she
Yeah,
seems?
totally. Yeah. And she, when I said about my revival book, how I'd filled it in and about my story, and she was like, "Oh, you're so strong." And she wrote in my book, like, "Remember, even on your darkest days, you're still like strong." She wrote like such a lovely message, and you could just tell how genuine, like, she meant that.
I think she can probably really relate because of her illnesses, and she went through
Yeah.
through the same things, or not the same things, but like the same kind of journey maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And at the time, I wasn't on dialysis treatment for my kidney failure, but I mentioned I had it. And she obviously was talking about she'd just been through a transplant for her kidney failure. And she was like, "Yeah, I have these scars now from this." And just because at the time my neck scars were more prominent, and she was like, "It's a star of strength, not something you ever want to hide." So yeah, it was just an unforgettable experience. I think as a young person as well, meeting your role model means everything, but it was definitely an inspirational day.
Oh wow. Wow. Yeah, it's so wow. I can just imagine because I love her too, and just meeting her and having the time and telling her all the things that you always want to tell her. Wow. Like, did it impact you? That does it still impact you till today?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I remember I came away from that obviously emotional and on a high and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. But I remember doing a post and just realizing that that moment and experience really highlighted for me the end of that tunnel. And like I was talking about the darkness earlier, like you get to that point and you really feel the light. And I was like, wow, this is an outcome that I've just experienced at the end of such a tough experience. And I really just took a moment to realize where I was in that moment. And it really represented that. And yeah, I've just carried the memories. And again, my whole family got to experience that. So it's just something we will all never forget.
Oh wow. Like wow, you talking about this? Like honestly, just having a look at your story is already so inspiring, and seeing like all the things that the charities, like in this case Starlight, I think was the name,
Yeah.
they did for you. I honestly, I'm so torn because I want to like help all of them. I'm just like, wow, Starlight, that's so cool. I want to support that one too.
Well, this is why I had to split my charities up because I've had like support from many of them. And my first gala was in aid of Macmillan, Starlight and Beads of Courage, and I actually kept Beads of Courage as one of my 3 charities for the second gala. I chose 2 other charities, which was When You Wish Upon a Star and then the Willow Foundation as well. But Beads of Courage, again, they're another amazing charity, and I could talk all day about them, but it just shows how much all these charities can impact people's lives in different ways. And yeah, that's why I couldn't choose just 1 or 2 charities. I had to, like, split the money because of everything that I'm, like, grateful for how, they've supported me.
I feel that so much. Like if I hope like I because I told you like the series is gonna go over a full year, so there's still like lots of time to grow and do other stuff. But I think when my community grows even more, I probably do the same thing. But just right now, I have to focus on the one,
Of course.
like the courage one. What is that? Like what do they do?
So, Beads of Courage are a program where if you're a child or young person, you can be enrolled onto this program if you're going through oncology, you could be enrolled through burns, babies that are in NICU,
Mm.
anything like that, cardiac units. Basically, you receive these beads, and each one represents something that you go through on your journey. So I received them when I was 18 on my second diagnosis, and I collected, I think it was 678 beads in the space of 6 months of that diagnosis period. And they're actually, I mean, you'll only see from the video if it was focused. I have a Christmas tree, and the beads actually stretch as long as like a 8 foot, 9 foot stage, and they're actually wrapped around my Christmas tree currently. Um, but they're all different colours and they represent something, and each thing you go through, you get a bead, and it basically creates this long string that's a visual representation of your journey and story. So, like, red would be for blood transfusions, black is for blood tests, rainbow could be for like a physio or something like that. I have a big purple heart bead, which represents the end of treatment. There was a star bead which represents my surgery, but that getting these beads was a whole coping mechanism for me during treatment, and that's why they played they just hold a special place in my heart. So that's why I chose to fundraise for them at my second gala. They were the one charity that I fundraised for twice. Um, and yeah, I just think they're an amazing visual thing. Like I say, they're a coping mechanism. And I see a lot online, unfortunately, like if the child doesn't make it through treatment or whatever, the parents still have these beads to represent the journey that the child has been on. And it literally is your beads of courage. And for me, I got my dancers to hold them out on the stage. And it's when people see the length of them that they're like, wow. And before you explain what they are, like I'll have people say, oh, is that your whole journey? I'm like, nope, this is just one of 5 diagnoses and this is 6 months. and it's such a visual thing to realize what you go through, and it's like, I think it's a great way to like display that.
As I said before, now watching your dance will be an even like a total different experience than before talking to you. And wow, okay, that's now I want to support them too. I think it's so that's why I love the power of stories, for example, and of videos, because I think stories and just have it's kind of like a visual story, right? Like you have
Yeah.
the beats and they tell the story of like your diagnosis and what you go through during that time. And I think that's so powerful. That's why we talked about the power of art and of stories, because I think it can really be a coping mechanism and give people a lot of strength and like a way to see what they've been through, as you said. Thank you so much for your tiny 40 minutes, so much for taking all the time. Thank you so much for your honesty, for your vulnerability, for sharing your story and everything, and for being such an amazing girl. Because, as we said, you're not just a cancer patient, you're an amazing girl with a lot of strengths and a great mindset and resilience and creativity and great dance. I have
Thank
millions
you.
of questions about that. So that was kind of like my aspiration coming into this, that it's not just about you having cancer, but you being an amazing person, dealing with adversity and doing amazing things. So that means a lot to me. And I
No,
really
it's been really lovely to speak to you, and like I say, it when I read your website, it was like great to see what you're wanting to create out of it, and I think it's amazing.
thank you so, so much.